Tsarfati. I'm here from Galilee, from Israel. I just want to make sure that the audio is indeed working. I hope. Yeah. And I just wanted to give you a short update of where we are in the war because you get a lot of videos. About 85% of the videos that I watch are wrong. They're not just wrong, they're a bit, what I would say, sensationalist. Try to overemphasize something that is not that big and not give you the full picture. So um, I thought to give you a short update of what is going on. But before that, I just want to make sure that you guys are here. And um, yeah, I see that people are indeed connecting on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Um, you can write where you're from in the comment section of all of those platforms so I can acknowledge. I see people from Indiana, North Carolina, Dubai, people from Texas. Where else are you guys from? Virginia, Netherlands, Philippines, India. This is beautiful, amazing. El Salvador, Lexington, Kentucky, Ohio, Brazil, people from Wales, Florida, Arizona, Kansas City, see people from Sweden, Norway, Romania. Wow, beautiful. So, I haven't been for a long time on camera, and there's a lot of stuff going on here. Apart from the progression of the war, and we're fighting literally in five different fronts. But apart from that, more and more and more and more things are now being revealed. Things that took place on October 7th, things that we could have not known because those things were not shared with the public until now. So a lot of it is very hard. I shared a little bit today on Telegram with a trigger alert because these are terrible things. So when you see trigger alert, if you can't really take some very graphic descriptions of stuff, then don't read it. I put several times trigger alert because it's that bad. So I'm going to start by telling you that I've got uh, thousands of messages from dear South African followers, very wonderful Christians that are uh, amazed, and they're very disgusted by their government's appeal to the International Court of Justice, as if Israel is committing genocide uh, in Gaza, which is, of course, not only that it's wrong, but if we did that, there wouldn't be a war right now. I mean, the war would have ended on October 8th. Uh, Israel has the capability of wiping out Gaza or within one day. This is not who we are, and that's not what we want to do. And the entrance into Gaza was not to just kill Palestinians; it's to destroy Hamas and all of its infrastructures, and also get our hostages back. I mean, the world forgets that somebody uh, invaded into our territory, burned houses with people, beheaded people. I'll tell you in a few seconds what's stuff that we now find out. But if that's not enough, they took hostages and into Gaza. I mean, we are in a situation where we have over 140 hostages right now, held by Hamas in houses and in tunnels. Many of them are around Hamas leaders right now because that's their insurance policy to stay alive. So people tend to forget that. That's all. Look, if Hamas would have given up right now, give us our hostages, get out of the tunnels and surrender, there would have been no war. We have no interest in being there. Our own soldiers are dying every day. but we are more than ever determined. I think this generation is a generation that even exceeds the one of 1948, and I'm very blessed to see resolve and soldiers that are, with heroic stories that I don't think I've read even from other wars that we had in the past, ever since 1948. Um, where should I start? First of all, I want to tell you that again. So the South Africans, I just want to finish the sentence. We don't think that South Africans in general are the problem. It's the ANC government, and they hate Israel because of past relations that Israel had with the apartheid government, and therefore, for them, we are on the side of the colonialists, and they are on the side of the freedom fighters. And who cares if those freedom fighters are nothing but the most bloodthirsty terrorists on planet Earth in the history of planet Earth? They don't really care. And so the Palestinians will always end up being the victims. Always, they'll come butcher us, and they'll parade us through their streets, and then when we retaliate, they're the victims. It's a known thing. They always love to hold a stake on both ends, and they want to be the heroes, and they want to be the victims at the same time. But so I want to say that to all of the South Africans that we love you. We don't hold that against the people of South Africa. We totally understand the difference between the South African government and the people, and of course the Christians. But by the way, the same thing when I criticize the Biden administration. I don't think Americans in general are the problem. I think that it's the administration, and we have a lot of issues with this administration. In fact, if part of the reason the war will not be as swift as it could have is because of the US administration and its unbelievable, illogical requirements from Israel. Okay. When the US attacked Mosul, a place with 2 million people, it took them 9 months, and they did not have a US above them or any court of justice that was checking them. They did whatever, and it took them 9 months. We're only 3 months into it, and I'll show you in a few seconds where we are right now. But unlike Mosul in Iraq, Gaza is not only above the ground, but mostly under the ground. And what we find is shockingly surprising. And I'm so glad we managed to get there, because this monster has entrenched itself. You see, do you hear the F-16s? Every day, the whole day, takeoffs and landings. We live not far from the F-16 airbase. So, let me start with, first of all, with where we are, okay? And if you can press the share button right now. Honestly, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to share with you right now is going to be flagged, and it's going to be censored. So unless you share it now and people watch it now, they probably won't be able to share it later. So it'll be nice if you just press that button right now, the share button, and let's just get it going. So, and maybe I should pray before I start, because I have a very heavy heart. So Father, we thank you. Uh, we know you're in full control. It's hard for us to imagine a world where you are not in control, because things would have been billion times worse. But we thank you that throughout all of this, you're on the throne. And as always, you are faithful to your promises and to your people. And when you saw Israel uh, under the burden of the Egyptians, even though they were in a state of disbelief, you rescued them and you brought them back to the land that you promised them. And when you saw Israel being massacred and annihilated by the Nazis, you've heard You saved that remnant and you brought them back even in a state of disbelief. And so we thank you that this physical restoration has been done, and now the spiritual one is going to be around the corner according to your plan and according to your promises. So we thank you. And until then, we ask that you will help us being the beacon of light and of hope and of joy, the joy that you can give us, unspeakable one. We thank you and we bless you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So, let me explain more or less where we are right now, okay? So, a lot of people don't understand, but Israel is right now fighting in 5 different fronts. And many of you are not aware of that. First of all, the F-16s that you hear, they're flying to mostly 2 directions every day. Every other day, they also fly to a third one. We are fighting in Gaza, we're fighting in southern Lebanon, and we're fighting in Syria. Now, we also have fighting, probably not with F-16s or F-35s, but we do have non-stop daily fighting in the West Bank, also in Judea and Samaria, where there's a lot of Palestinian that are holding weapons, and we also believe that they're digging tunnels there as well. So these are already 4 fronts, and we have our things that we do also in other fronts in a different way, in different means. And I'm talking about Iraq and Iran. Probably the only country, well, the only country we are not daily engaged in battles with is Yemen, and that's because Yemen is mostly trying to attack U.S. forces right now. And a few hours ago, they shot some rockets and missiles towards a U.S. battleship. And there are battles in the Red Sea between the Yemenite Houthis and the U.S. forces. I believe that the U.S. military is being ordered to stand down, and the bases of the United States in Syria and Iraq are being not attacked daily, but every few hours. More than 200 attacks of drones and rockets were already committed against U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria, mostly in Syria. Right beyond the Euphrates, there's 2 gas and oil fields, the Conoco and the Al Amr. But beyond that, there's Al Shaddadi and some other bases in Erbil in northern Iraq and others. And if you don't follow me on Telegram, you probably don't know that, but the U.S. is being attacked not on weekly basis, not on daily basis, an hourly basis. And unlike Israel, it's a small country. Whenever something happens, within a few hours, everybody knows. I think the Pentagon is not really in the habit of telling the Americans or the world how many casualties the U.S. has. So I'm just going to put it up front. The U.S. is at war, but it's not good for election years, and somebody is not telling you about it. Now, that's as far as the United States. And let me explain now where Israel is. Maybe I can put a map of Gaza so you understand what is going on. Okay, so I'll put this map, and I really hope that you can hear me while I put it. But as you can clearly see, Gaza is only 25 miles long and 6 miles wide, and it is divided to 5 different zones, you can clearly see. Zone 1 and 2 are completely in Israeli control, although we do have small pockets of resistance there, but it's more or less all the battalions of Hamas were crushed. Most, if not all, the terror tunnels were blown up, and many of the bases and the outposts of Hamas were raided by Israel, and the weapons and everything, it's all taken. Now, what Israel did we bypassed number 3, and we immediately went to number 4, which is Khan Yunis. This is where we believe, because it's the birthplace and the place where the leader of Hamas grew up, we also believe he is hiding in the tunnels underneath Khan Yunis. And we want to prevent him from moving to Rafah, because Rafah is bordering with Egypt. We don't want him to flee into Egypt and then somehow disappear. So Israel entered into Khan Yunis area, created an enclave, surrounded the city. Parts of the forces are fighting anything that comes from the outside, and most forces are purifying inside. And I'm just telling you that so you understand that while in Khan Yunis, most of our operation right now is under the ground. Now, before I continue to tell you what is being done under the ground, because it's phenomenal, I want to tell you that your prayers avail much. Now, I'm not at liberty to explain everything, but I will tell you at least one miracle. One, okay? And there's many. And by the way, even the Israeli television acknowledged the fact that there are so many miracles there. There was a bomb that an Israeli F-16 dropped accidentally in the wrong place, where about 80 soldiers, IDF soldiers, were. And miraculously, that bomb did not explode. And again, this is just one story. One story. And the gag order was originally then, because it's not fire from Hamas, we're talking about our own forces. But I'm not even talking about the miracles when it comes to how God protects our soldiers from Hamas. It's just phenomenal as well. I want to tell you that these terrorists they dress up like women, they dress up like old people, they dress up like poor people, they cover an RPG launcher with some blanket as if they're holding a baby, and then they pull the launcher, and they cause us not to believe that there's any innocent civilian. And it's sad to see that Gaza does not host Hamas, but Gaza is Hamas. And it's sad to see that Hamas is not in Gaza, but Hamas is Gaza. Almost every house that we raided had a shaft to a terror tunnel, or weapons and rockets, that many of them were hidden underneath beds of children. Can you imagine hand grenades underneath beds of children? We're talking about explosives and mines and IEDs that were placed everywhere. It's just unbelievable. And most of the huge centers of Hamas operation was actually in schools, hospitals, clinics, and playgrounds, and above all, mosques. So you understand that everything that is sacred to people, houses of prayer, hospitals, schools, kindergartens, they're not sacred to them. And some of our hostages finally begin to talk now, after 2-3 weeks, where they could get out of the shock and the physical challenges that they came with. And now they start talking, and from what we understand, quite a few of them were hosted or held in homes of families where atrocities and cruelty was not only shown to them by the terrorists themselves, but by the family, by the moms and the daughters and the children. I mean, it's unbelievable. The way they hate us is not just by a uniform dressed terrorists. Now, Israel is facing another challenge, which is the north. On the northern border, the day after October 7th, October 8th, Hezbollah began launching its own rockets. And systematically, in the last 3 months, almost 3 months now. Hezbollah is not only trying to target civilians and soldiers, but since we evacuated them all, now it's destroying all facilities and houses. So even if we told the Israelis to get back to their homes, in many places there are no homes to get back to. Israelis, about 80%, 80,000 from northern Israel, 100,000 from southern Israel, they're refugees because you cannot get back to where you live near Gaza, and you cannot get back to where you live on the northern border because there's, fighting going on right now. So Israel has become, a place where we have our own refugees, and the philosophy of Israel is always been that if you want to fight me, I'm going to your territory and we'll fight there. But right now, at least in the north, we cannot fight there because we are busy fighting in Gaza, and we prefer to finish with Gaza and then go and deal with the Lebanese Hezbollah threat. It's going to be much, much harder. We estimate that this war will last at least 6 more months. To clean up Gaza, you just need to understand we're advancing very slowly because we have to dismantle pockets of resistance as well as booby trap tunnels and shafts and tunnels that are much deeper and much longer than we had ever thought. And so to dismantle something that has been built for 20 years, it's not, you can't do it in a few weeks. It takes time, and we're doing it slowly, but we're doing that in a very good way. Over 15 canine dogs were unfortunately killed in the last few weeks inside the terror tunnels of Khan Yunis, where we believe Hamas leadership is now hiding. So we're causing we're rattling the cage under the ground. So you have to understand, Gaza is the most sophisticated and largest terror base on planet Earth. It is the most difficult warfare, urban warfare. No army in the history of planet Earth at any given time had to fight in conditions where it's the most densely populated area on top and the most sophisticated terror tunnels underneath. The experience that the IDF is now gaining is obviously phenomenal, but we're doing stuff that we cannot learn from others. We are now creating something that others can learn from. So we have to deal with the largest terror base on planet Earth. And once we dismantle it, we're going to have to move up north to fight with the largest terror organization on planet Earth, which is a different story. And the capabilities of Hezbollah are far more superior because Hamas doesn't have precision-guided rockets. They have dumb rockets. They just shoot them. And these are just round metal objects with some explosive in them that they don't have their own engine and their own GPS system. So once you launch it, it's gone. And we can shoot it down and that's it. Hezbollah, on the other hand, have thousands of precision-guided missiles that can be guided while in the air, and they can fly much longer, and they have their own engine, and they can hit strategic locations within Israel. And they have so many of them that even if they shoot 100 and only 10 hit the target, it's 10 precision-guided missiles that hit target. But that means they hit that strategic location no matter what. So we're going to need a lot of prayers. We hope that the laser system, the laser beam that we are working now, will be fully operational. Now we're testing it during the war, but only when it's not. When I say fully operational, that means it has to learn how to work with other systems and only engage when the others cannot really deal with that rocket. You understand? I mean, there has to be some synchronization so we don't shoot down our own planes or our own rockets or our own drones and so on. So we're learning all of these things as we speak right now. Now, 2024, very challenging year. Um, I I'm not a prophet. I'm from a non-profit organization, as I always say. But 2024 is a year that can evolve into a world war. Definitely, it can evolve into a world war because we see the elections in America are only in November, and the current administration is so weak and so passive because they don't want to anger some elements in their party. And so it's inviting more and more and more problems and more troubles. And, you know, China is openly saying that the unification of China with Taiwan is going to happen soon. North Korea just said that they're planning in 2024 a nuclear exchange or a war with the Western world. They understand that this is the right time. Look, nobody wants someone strong in the White House because then they will not be able to do what they want to do. And it's very heartbreaking to see the U.S. foreign policy falling apart, basically. And it's just so passive and so almost irrelevant that it's just sickening. So this is what we are going through right now. Israel is fighting in Gaza on the northern border. We're hitting Syria. We're hitting them hard. We killed some very, very senior Iranian Revolutionary Guards personalities. Israel is operating not only on the border but also further. We have also destroyed Iranian militia forces in Al Bukamal on the border between Iraq and Syria. We destroyed some artillery and radar systems that then allowed us to fly further deep into Syria. And we also killed a high level delegation of Iranian advisors that came to the airport of Damascus just a couple days ago. Um, a lot of stuff is going on every day, almost every hour. And I want to urge you, I cannot, one of the reasons I don't do all these updates on Facebook and YouTube because they just censor everything. And they've got algorithms and they've got their own fact checkers and they don't allow me to speak. So Telegram has become my only domain where I can just say everything. And if you want to go there and you have to, I want to really challenge you not to put your trust much in many of the sensational videos that are out there. It breaks my heart, and there's nothing I can do because I'm only one person. I'm waiting for our studios to be ready. The construction begins in a couple days. Just a lot of bureaucracy I wasn't even aware of. But finally, thankfully, everything is signed and the contractor will begin shortly. It'll take about 3 to 4 months. We're going to move in by the end of April, and you're going to get news every day. But until then, Telegram is the only way I can really communicate to you everything. And I want to encourage you to join because honestly, Facebook and YouTube are not going to let me say everything I can. And I want you to know that a lot of the bad stuff that happened on October 7th is coming out right now. And things that I don't want to say it right now. I mean, you can read it on Telegram, but I don't want to say it on camera right now because they will not let me have it there. and it's worse than you thought. Let's put it this way. And the hard part is that you you always think that you've heard it all, and you kind of built immunity to stuff that you know already. But then comes something worse, and it just all those walls that you created just falling down because you did not expect this to be that, to that level. The level of things that happen is a level of um you see, I researched a lot, World War II, and also ISIS and other things, and I don't think I've ever heard anything like this in my entire life. I have not seen anything like this in my entire life. I mean, if they studied how the Holocaust was, they probably wanted to even do better than the Nazis. If they wanted to be like ISIS, I think they wanted to do more than ISIS. I think they realized that all the cruelty that those regimes and organizations did before should be inferior to what they're about to do. And it's and then to see everyone marching in the streets and you know either completely being clueless of what happened or saying it never happened, that we make it up, or saying that they're glad it happened. uh what can you say? uh, I really don't think Gaza has hope. I believe that if I was a Gazan, I would immediately look into a way to get out of there. If there is a chance they give me to move to another place, I would, because 70% of the houses in northern Gaza are demolished. There's nothing to get back to. Yesterday, I think the Wall Street Journal compared Gaza right now to Berlin or Dresden of World War II. And I'm glad though that they make that comparison, because at least it's the Allied forces that destroyed something that was so evil. And nobody complained about it. Nobody had an issue with that. Nobody thought that, hey, we're going to kill um, the Nazis only, and we have to supply to everybody else fuel and food and medicine. Are you out of your mind? I mean, every truck that goes into Gaza right now goes to Hamas. I mean, we're interviewing the Gazans who are saying that. Every truck that goes now into Gaza prolongs the war and prolongs the suffering of the Gazans. And it breaks my heart, but this whole to ask for humanitarian aid is not to ask for humanitarian aid. It's to ask for Hamas to stay alive and survive. And Hamas they said it, and I posted it many times. They don't care about the people above the ground. They think that the people above the ground are not under their care. They should be cared by the UN and by others. They care about their own warriors. They come first. And that's it. So if there's food, we get it first. If there's fuel, we get it first. If there's water, we get it first. If there is medicine, we get it first. So the people don't get it. So when you ask us to allow those type of trucks into that territory, you're basically giving Hamas fuel, food, water, and medication. It's show me one place where America fought, even in World War II, and gave the people all of these things. Show me one place. I mean, I'm not sure why Israel is being asked for something that those who ask her to do that never did it themselves. Not sure, but it is what it is. So, look, I'm going to try and do these type of things more often, but it's very hard. Um, But thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support. Thank you for staying in touch with us. And again, I can only ask one more time, please go to Telegram. I'm telling you, the other platforms are not accurate, to say the least. Please share this as much as you can. I'll try to give you more. Um, I'll try to give you more information about other things as they happen. Again, a lot of the activity right now is under the ground in Gaza. That's why we don't hear much. Um, a lot of skirmishes in the north, and from time to time, almost every other day, we also hit the efforts that the Iranian militias are making near Damascus and in Syria to hit us as well. Every little thing that used to make breaking news up until a few months ago is now something that is on a daily basis thing. Um, there are days where I don't sleep because it's hard to sleep. I mean, uh, literally every other minute there is a takeoff or landing, and sometimes they fly very low. And so I love the fact that we have our fighter jets scrambling and taking care of business, but at the same time, on New Year's Eve, almost half of the Israeli Air Force was flying. There's so much that had been planned, and thankfully, most of it was thwarted by us. A lot of stuff that we don't tell people that were about to happen um, at the same time. So there's a lot of stuff that is going on, but we truly, truly believe that God is in full control. Of all the nations around the world, I can say Israel is one of those nations that can say that it will survive, it will not vanish. I am God, I do not change, therefore you are not consumed, O sons of Jacob. That's what the Lord said in the book of Malachi. So he does not change, and therefore Israel will and has to survive. That's it. God has a plan for them. Yes, they're in a state of disbelief right now. But as in Romans 3, verse 3, what if some did not believe? Will that make God's faithfulness without effect? And even in 2 Timothy, it says, even if we are faithless, he's faithful because he cannot deny himself. So thank you again. I'll keep in touch with you. Please share this video. And for those of you who haven't done so, Discovering Daniel, the sequel of Revealing Revelation, is coming out soon, and I could really use your pre-ordering of the book right now. And let me explain why. Once you pre-order the book, the numbers are telling the big stores that this is a very sought-after book. And so they immediately place an order and bring it to their brick and mortar stores, such as Walmart, Target, place of heathens and places that don't believe in God want to have the book just because they think it'll sell well. And the only indication for them to see if it sells well is if the pre-orders are high. So discoveringdaniel.com, pre-order it. Let's teach the world what God's plan for Israel is and for the world. Thank you. I love you. God bless you. And shalom. Bye-bye.